And welcome to Game Creation, our final video for Snake. So we're doing well so far. It actually looks like Snake, but we're just going to edge off the corners, make it a little bit more sparkly, and have a starting screen and an end screen. So let's get started. Okay, so as you know from yesterday, we've got an actual Snake game going on really nicely, and not too complicated. There's a lot of nested loops. And actually, Clickteam 2.5 Plus has an awful lot of features which I've not used that would make this a lot quicker and a lot nicer looking. And maybe at some point I'll show 2.5 Plus features and start using them. But I just, talking to you guys and having conversations, not an awful lot of people have got that yet. I'd recommend it. I think it's expensive, but it saves that time. If you use Clickteam quite a lot, it saves so much time for when you're doing like projects and stuff, and it supports Clickteam. I think the value I've got from Clickteam, I don't Steam, which I currently use, I didn't used to actually have it. I've bought the license without Steam, but it keeps track of how long you've used the product, and I can't actually remember what it is, but it's something ridiculous. Anywho, we want to what we're going to do first. Now, Clickteam's really nice at doing a start screen because all you do is just start, just create a new thingy bob, bung it in. Now, we probably want it the same size as the other one, so really what I should have done, 500, 300 for the whole project. So we'll do that. Oh, press the wrong button. Yep. And we're going to have some nice text, so we'll put a string in. I don't know, press space to start. And we can muck about with the font and whatever. I always think Sego UI looks nice. I don't know why. And we need to just drag this to actually display it. Probably make it centered, and we could probably put a logo in or something to make it a bit more interesting. Probably make that a bit smaller and make it all on the same line. Make it a tad smaller, get it all on the same line. I could be here all day doing this. And we'll have the name of it. Probably pick a different font for that. What? I could have Sego script. Why not? We can actually make that bigger. I don't like the way you've got to drag these out. I kind of understand why you have to, but it's a bit irritating. It's my lovely iPhone binging. Let's switch that on silent. Okay. Oh, there we are. That's a nice screen. Okay, so all we need in here is just a conditional saying when they press space, move to next frame. But as you know, I don't like move to next frame. I always explicitly pick the frame in case I reorder them later on. And let's just have a look and see how that goes. Press space and you get started. Brilliant. And you can still maximize it. It's got rid of... There we are. Look at that. That's cool. Right, and you can use these little controls up here to switch between. I think that's 2.5 Plus, I'm not sure, but that's quite useful. Otherwise you just have to come out here and click on it again. Okay, so we currently don't have a way of dying, which is not good for a game, because you need some way of like ending the game. Or maybe you don't. Actually, a lot of games now just keep you going forever, as long as you're paying. Probably in here, the reason I've left a bit of space here is because we need to check whether the player's gone outside the screen, and so we'll probably do it in a similar way to how we added the scores on up here, and so let's just copy and paste that. I'm not going to do anything with the scores. What we're going to do is just check to see whether the player's gone out of the array, and actually we should kind of do this first, So we're just going to check the new x. Actually, I'm just going to replace that. So we'll check the new x is if it's lower than 0, that means the player's gone out of the screen. And I'm just going to drag that up here because really we should do this first, because I don't want any of this to happen if the values are dud. Or if it is greater than, what do we say, 19? Or, I don't know if you have to do the on loop. I don't know if you can do or on loops. I think you can. This is what confuses me with or. So if that's lower than 0, because the thing is it has changed from green, which normally is not a good thing, and that's lower than, if that's greater than 11, was it? I think it's 11. Then it's kind of game over, and so you jump to the first. It's kind of game over. Let's see if that works. Hopefully it will. Brilliant. Let's try and do it from the left hand side, and now let's try and do it from the right hand side. I've got to get that on the way. Perfect. Now the problem is that we need the score to show up, because it is a game after all. So I'm going to create a second data store. Which, in fact, I'm not going to clone that, I'm just going to start a new one. Make this red. This is going to be a global one, and this will just hold the score of the player, so the final score. Global object, because I want to use this in frame 2 to display the score. And so, where are we? So that means that they've bounced back, but before that we want to set the score here. I thought I did. Oh, I've clicked on the wrong one. So we want to set the score, so final score, to what their current score is, which will be eligible value, retrieve the score. And we just double click on this to make sure the order's right, which it's not, because we want to set the final score and then jump to the frame. Otherwise it won't ever set as a final score because it won't be on the same frame. And the reason why I've created a different one is because this has all of the game data in, and whenever you press start and play the game, you kind of want this reset. So I've created a separate one to not be reset, to be permanent, because then it can be shared between these two, but I want one that just resets every time. And you could have done it with one and just made sure that at the start you reset all the values, but that's extra work. Okay, let's go back to the first one, and I'm gonna where am I going to do it? I don't know where I'm going to do it. So let's clone that. Let's move that up a little bit. And I'm just going to get rid of the text here. And I'm going to say, I can drag this in actually. I don't think you need to drag these in, but it's quite useful to be able to display it. And we're going to say, compared to one of the eligible values, if the final score is greater than 0, that means it's not like the first time you're doing it, then we're just going to display, what is it, change eligible string, and we're going to say score. Now, you'd think you'd be able to do this and just drag in the actual final score, but that's a number. It doesn't like that. So what you need to do is say, no, this is I want you to convert this number to a string. Okay, with this. This just converts the number to a string and then it works. This is called concatenation, where you put two strings together. You just put a little plus sign, it just puts them together. Make sure you have a space there, otherwise it just doesn't put a space in for you. Let's run that. So nothing at the start, which is great, that's what we want. And let's just get this piece of food and then die instantly. And score of 2, because you start off with a score of 1, and then every food piece you get another one. So let's play again. Let's try and get a score of 3. Bonus. Oh, actually, let's go off and die now. Score of 3, brilliant. One other thing we need to do is we currently don't have a way of tracking to see whether the player collides with themselves, which actually in Snake it also makes you die. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the same place as here, because we're checking to see whether the player's dead. Copy and paste that, and it's nothing to do with any of these. We don't need any of these. All we're doing is testing the current one. So this checks the new position. The player hasn't moved there yet because they moved there further down this. They're about to move there, and if it's greater than 0, which means the player's currently there already, then game over. This is going to take a little bit longer to check, because I actually have to grow a snake long enough to do it. And thankfully I'm quite good at this game, especially with it being this slow. Okay, let's get one more and then let's try and catch my tail. There we are, and it works perfectly. There we go. Well, that is it over. So you can see it's not the most complicated project when you plan it out, but I mean, looking at the code, was it 41 lines or 40 lines of code, and if you ignore the groups and stuff, it's probably less than that. In fact, we can get rid of that one, and I can trim this down substantially. This I've just padded it out a little bit, just to make it a bit easier to understand, although like this is definitely intermediate stuff, it's not beginners stuff for Clickteam. So if this is your first video that you've watched from me, then I apologise. Hopefully you've seen my videos before. If you haven't, go back and have a look at some of my earlier stuff on fast loops and things like that, which just help you get started. A lot of my earlier videos were for beginner, but this is definitely for intermediate. So yeah, keep the comments coming in. As I said, throughout this week I will always prioritise suggestions of things to do. This whole week has been a suggestion of someone last week who said that they wanted me to do this on Clickteam, so that's what I've done. So the comments work. And that's the good thing about having a small YouTube channel, is that you actually can talk and discuss stuff and have suggestions that actually get listened to. My other couple of YouTube channels are way too big. I get a lot of comments at quick succession, which is not useful because I can't action hardly any of them. But yeah, so keep the comments coming in, and I shall see you next week. I look forward to it. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more from us, please click subscribe. We release videos every single weekday at 7 PM UK time. Thank you.